With all the pieces cut, I can start laminating the body together. The body is made of 2 layers of 3/4 inch separated by a 1/4 inch filler. Now, 2 things that are important to remember. Number 1 is if there's a problem with the cut, you can always cut another piece, or you can take the piece you don't like and, there we go, put it at whatever side of the guitar you plan to have pointed down as you're playing it. That way nobody will be able to see it. Now, I've got the pieces numbered. You got number 1, number 2, number 3, and there are 2 sets of the A and 1 set of the B that goes all the way around. Actually, since the A is half size and then mirrored, there are actually 4 sets of the A, but it all comes out in the end. The number is A1, A2, goes at the top edge, whichever is closest to the neck. That way I always know where I am. Is there anything else? Oh yes, there's a gap here. Something went wrong. The pieces don't quite line up. There's a small gap here. I'm going to cut a wedge out of the 1/4 inch filler material, and I'm going to glue 2 wedges in here from opposite sides to fill that in, and it'll look pretty good. So, a little glue, and off we go. Well, here are the rough blanks for the main structural pieces. Here's the neck here. I've got my fixed truss rod. It drops right in there. And then here's the body. Now, there are gaps here, where the pieces of wood didn't quite line up. I was expecting that to happen, so I saved the little shims, the little pieces of wood that got left over from when I cut out the body. And I'll take little pieces of that and I'll glue those into the gaps here. When I do that, that'll fill in the wood with matching pieces. It'll come out about even in the end. It shouldn't look too overly bad once it's all rasped. I'm going to take my wood rasp. Now grind everything smooth. It won't look as good as an actual Gibson, but the overall effect, it won't look too bad. So, okay, the next part is the fun, tedious part. Taking large pieces of wood and reducing them to lots of little rasping dust. So you got your 3 layers of wood here. It's cut out, and some of the cuts are a little uneven. Sometimes the layers don't line up properly, but they're all pretty close, so you just get at that final little bit by rasping it down. And then once it's rasped down, there'll be some deep gouges left over with the rough part. So you go at a different angles, get it as smooth as you can, and switch over to the fine rasp. Do the final polishing up. Then you're ready to start sanding. Coarse sandpaper. Do your assembly. Get everything together, and then go to your medium sandpaper, and then fine sandpaper for the end. Little by little, it gets more and more guitar shaped. Well, the body's been smoothed off. Most of the bulges are gone. And I'm right now taking the tool marks out. I'm working with the fine rasp rather than the coarse rasp. Going slowly over it. It has reached the point now where I want to start working on the neck. So, I went to the bandsaw, and I cut my neck to shape roughly. Now I need to start setting how it's going to fit in the guitar. So I've got a center seam here. I've got centers, I've got center seams here and here. So I just need to line everything up. And let's see. Yeah, that'll be my bottom here. Play it like this. We were rowing along on Moonlight Bay. Okay, so line the center seams up at the neck, at the tail, voila. And we'll start measuring everything for the cut. I believe I mentioned we're doing this on the cheap, without all the fancy tools and equipment, or the expensive tone wood. So when I cut out the notch for the tailpiece together, on this one, I'm using a regular saw. I cut a series of slots here, approximately to a particular line, and then I'll break them out with a small chisel. Afterward, I can even it up with the wood rasp, make everything fit. The chisel, of course, is a relative term. What I've got is a screwdriver. And need to put another notch there. Cut that out. And it's a really tight fit, so that's going to work out pretty well. Yeah, I like that. Now we do the same thing here. And we're ready to go. Here we go. And a little bit here. Mind you, I just tested this a second ago. And it should be a few strokes of rasp on fine setting. And then this snugly slides in there. And there's my basic guitar. I've got some face material here. Yeah, it comes up snug. Pretty close, pretty good. Yep. Oh, one little thing did pop up here. The tail isn't quite long enough here, so I'm going to have to trim that, put a filler block in there, and then shape it after it's all glued together. But overall, and come up with a decorative pattern here so make it look nice. So the basic shape of the thing is done now. I'm shaping the neck now. If this were a proper place, I'd have spoke shaves and belt sanders and drum sanders and all sorts of fancy stuff to do all this cutting. But not having all of that, I've got a nice flat table to work on, and I've got my wood rasp. There we go. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to round this off. I'm going to cut a flat on the side here, down the length of it, at a steep angle, like so. until I get to be maybe 1/8 of an inch from the edge of where the fretboard is going to be. And that will be the side. And then I do the same thing, use the edge of the rounded section to cut grooves. And then grind along the length to connect them all. And then turn over to the flat, finish it off. And then I'll have a flat section here and a flat section here, and then on around. And then I'll bevel those together at a 45-degree angle. And then shape it so that everything blends together. It should be a shallow V section, I think, when I'm done. I'll find out when I'm done. But it's not fast, but it's not too slow, and it's not too difficult. So I'll be done in a day or two, ready to move on to the next part. There we go. While the rough shaping is done, I use the fine rasp to take out the worst of the tool marks from the initial shaping, and I glued on the peg head face, which I think doesn't look too bad. Next thing I want to do is I want to start making the fretboard. Now the fretboard, I'm using a 1/4 inch red oak and the Blue Stem fret layout guide. I downloaded that and then printed it out at 100%, and ready to start. Now I'm going to be using a 0 fret, so I've got that marked. I use a T-square and draw in the position for the 0 fret. Then attach the fret layout guide right there. Oop, that's no good. Almost forgot. Gotta have it like that. Okay. Now all you need to do is go down here. Now you can go get a fret layout calculator off the internet and make it any size you want and make your own layout guide. This just happens to be the one I've got, so this is the one I'm using. Whoa, we've got enough room for 24 frets. I'm probably going to stop at 22. Leave the rest of it blank. Don't want to overdo this. Now I just go down the line with a T-square, mark each one. Okay, the fret positions are marked. Now I'll turn it face down. I set the, there we go. Set that on top of it. Now the next thing I want to do is exactly center this, center the neck on the fretboard. And mark it off. I'll cut it slightly oversized, clamp it to the, clamp it to the neck later, and then finish it up to the exact size before I install the frets.